I think he is like the character who would be like Maverick if the original Top Gun was centered around Iceman instead of Maverick.
Hi, this is Randall here for No Market Media.
And I'm Matt. Today, Randall and I are reviewing a new movie that's also a sequel to a 1980s classic. Today, we're reviewing Top Gun Maverick. It stars Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, John Hamm, and Val Kilmer returns as Iceman. It's directed by Joseph Kosinski, who is also known for Tron Legacy, Only the Brave, and Oblivion, which also stars Tom Cruise.
Top Gun Maverick finds Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell nearing the end of his illustrious but troublesome career as a naval aviator. He has been tasked with training a group of Top Gun graduates to perform a near impossible mission in a race against time and his own personal demons. Top Gun Maverick had about a $170 million budget and has received near universal acclaim from both critics and audiences. It has also broken Tom Cruise's personal best box office opening, which was previously set by Mission Impossible Fallout. And in our reoccurring segment, movies that were delayed by the pandemic, let's take a stroll down memory lane. This is one of the most delayed films of the entire pandemic. Production of this film actually started way back in 2010. Then, the death of the original director of the original movie, Top Gun, set it back even further before finally getting moved on. But then you get to the pandemic delays. This movie was originally supposed to come out in June of 2020. Then it was moved to December of 2020. And then July 2021. And then once again moved to November of 2021. Before finally be given clearance for takeoff. May 2022. So we can bring you this review.
I generally like this movie. I thought it was a fun movie to watch. It's action-packed. And I think what I like about this one, I think this movie's kind of like relationship focus a bit. At least through different parts of it. And I think that's kind of what stood out to me and what I liked about this film. But yeah, it's Top Gun. It's got a lot of callbacks to, the 80s original. And a lot of the style, I think, is still the same here.
The thing about this, and Matt said it's action-packed, is that Top Gun Maverick is just basically a very entertaining film.
Mm-hmm.
It's just trying to go out there and be entertaining without being Moonfall. Basically. It's not trying to go over the top and be ridiculous about things. And I think as a standalone movie, it actually does surpass the original. The original is kind of like, hey, we're just going to show off Top Gun school and all these, and then the mission at the end is just, oh, something's randomly come up and we need our nice new Top Gun graduates to take care of it.
Yep.
This one's not like that. This one has a storyline that progresses throughout the entire film that makes sense for our characters to do. So I especially like what they did with Maverick in this, and we'll talk about Maverick definitely more in the character section and why I liked what they did with his character.
Yep, I agree.
So the plot of this has been pretty well hidden by the trailers. They're just like, come see this movie because it's Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, they have to stop Iran. I mean the enemy. Not Iran.
They don't actually say who the enemy is in this one that I know of.
From opening a nuclear refinery, basically. Totally not Iran. And they happen to have a whole bunch of 5th generation fighters, which are conveniently never called their fighters. They're just 5th generation fighters. So they could have bought them from anywhere. Just saying. and they happen to have some old school F-14 Tomcats, which is the plane that is in the original film. And I'm like, well, Iran has some of those. I know they do. They bought them from us back in the 70s. So that's the plot though. Stop this enemy from being able to bring a facility online, and through this extremely dangerous and difficult mission, Maverick is tasked with training these already really, really well-trained pilots to go further and beyond their limits to complete this mission.
Yeah, this one is definitely more mission-focused. And, to going on with, the story that the trailers show or whatever, in this whole thing of this training mission, we get this I would say, a little bit of friction or something. There's something there between Maverick and Goose's son, who just happens to be one of the pilots that Maverick has to train for this mission and stuff. It's kind of interesting. I think the movie on how it tells that story or whatever is a little bit coy, I think, a little bit at the beginning. Like, you think it's just
The death.
the
yeah.
death of Goose or whatever, but there's a little bit more to that relationship and stuff in this movie. So I'm glad that the movie kind of goes into something that actually adds layers to that dynamic.
Yeah, that's too much of a spoiler. Though. Yeah, we don't want to talk about
We're not going to tell you what it is.
But yeah, I mean, like, honestly, the thing about it is, like, as I already said, the original film's all about the fighter school and everything, and I thought, well, if it's just gonna be Tom Cruise basically playing Maverick as a teacher at Top Gun, it's not that interesting. But having this storyline about it's about this mission and everything that goes into that actually makes the film way more interesting. Plus, like you said, all this character drama.
And I think too, we'll talk about this when we get to characters. How we portrayed the characters actually make things a little bit different in the story this time around. All right, so going into, like I was saying, this movie is called Top Gun Maverick. So go figure, Maverick is the main focus, I would say, character of this movie, and I think that's what makes this movie different than like Top Gun. I think if we took the angle of, hey, we're just following these pilots, like we're following Goose's son and, the other pilots being trained for this mission, it would pretty much just be Top Gun, retold in a different way. I think a lot of it is because of the characters. Maverick's still the same character, just in a different role and a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
And I think Miles Teller does a really good job. But like for the pilots looking at, to me, they seem like just kind of like the same pilots that we had a bit in Top Gun, just with like slight differences to the different characters.
Yeah, most of the pilots, they're already established. They're already Top Gun graduates. You don't have to go through and retrain them to do good fighter or, better dog fighting skills and stuff like that. That's what they already did that, They're here to train for this mission. But character-wise, what I was saying and alluding to earlier, I really like what they did with Maverick's character. He's this bigger than life guy. He can do all of these things better than anyone else, especially in a plane. He is just that much better. There's a great line in this film where he basically says, it's not, I can't teach them who I am. You want me to teach these kids, but this is just who I am, not like a set of skills. Basically, and I really love that line. Then you throw in Goose's son, and that's that really interesting thing they do with Maverick's character where they make him more vulnerable. He can do anything in a plane at any time that you ask him to, but he has this, kind of like blind spot for Goose's son that really makes him vulnerable, which is something you just don't see in a lot of his characterization. It's the same as when Goose dies in the original. He's brought back down to earth, like that was his partner and friend and everything in life. Well, that's now Goose's son in this film. Just done kind of maybe a little better.
And I like how they take, Goose's death from, the first movie and how it's still kind of having like an impact on Maverick. Maybe not treating it the same way. Like Maverick did have his growth in the original Top Gun film.
Yeah.
But, Goose's death still has an impact, 36 or whatever years it is later, just in a different way kind of thing. So I like that too about that.
Yeah, you at the end of Top Gun, the original, you see him throw Goose's like tags into the ocean, like kind of like he's at peace and he's come to a resolution about that. But like that's him coming to a resolution with it. Not like his family and everything. They just like I'm letting that go. But other people might not have,
My dad believed in you. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
You also have I would say the love interest in this movie, played by Jennifer Connelly. Yeah. I really think her character is really there just for like Maverick's character, I think, a bit. She's kind of like Maverick's, I would say, almost like emotional center or something like that, or kind of bring back. And really, she's a character to show how Maverick's actions affect other people. Like Maverick, the way he is, how that actually has impact on other people and affects other people's lives.
So Jennifer Connelly's character is the one that just doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, she's just a sounding board for Maverick. She is just there for exposition for a lot of it. Like, oh, this is how Maverick affects other people around him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's illusions that they've had, a previous relationship and everything. But let's not be kidding ourselves. She's just there to give, the mildly, perfectly attractive female across from Tom Cruise's character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why she's there, because you also have, Iceman coming back in this,
yes.
which is reportrayed by Val Kilmer,
mm-hmm.
and his character does exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sounding board. He's someone that Maverick can go talk to about things that he can't go talk to the recruits about, or to the commanding admirals about, say, for that matter. He's kind of, at this point, like Tom Skerritt's character from the original, Top Gun. Like, I can go talk to him, and his character could have done almost everything that Jennifer Connelly's character did,
yep.
basically. There didn't need to be a romantic subplot. It could have just been a really, and don't get me wrong, the scene between Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise as these characters is extremely heartfelt.
Yes.
It is very well done.
Yep.
And that could have been enough. I don't think Jennifer Connelly's character in this is necessary at all.
I think too, like everything that doesn't cover from like Ice and Maverick could also be done with Maverick and Goose's son Rooster too. Could go other stuff too, different dynamic and stuff. Like I said, not going to get into that, but other things that could supplement Connelly's character or whatever, or what she I think represents in this movie could have been done with that too. But yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Just keep that Maverick character that we knew from the first movie, like aspects of that going into this movie.
And then there's one character who's kind of like omission, which is great, because she shows up in a flashback scene with Goose, is Charlie, but she's not mentioned at all.
No.
Not even a whisper.
Nope.
Nothing. She's just there in a flashback real quick, and like that's it. And I'm like, wow. Okay then.
Maybe
really,
that just tells you about Maverick's reputation, I guess.
Really burying that character. Because Jennifer Connelly's very clearly not playing that role as a different actress.
Nope.
It's
this is different. Penny, different name, not Charlie.
I think that the only other thing character-wise is Miles Teller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as Goose's son, as Rooster, great call sign for Goose's son. But I think he did a really good job. Opposite of Tom Cruise and all of the stuff that makes his character who he is and how he grows throughout this film into a better naval aviator, and also just fulfilling all of the storylines with Maverick is probably the big core strength character parts of this film.
Yep. I think Rooster really is a combination of Maverick and Goose, and I think they have kind of same dynamic, similar, because Maverick lost his dad, who was a pilot, and that's what was kind of getting him to be a pilot or whatever, two-fighter pilot too. And then I think Rooster's kind of the same way. Like, his dad was a pilot and passed away tragically as a pilot, and was trying to almost follow in those footsteps. So yeah, I like that. I like that little dynamic what they do with Miles Teller.
So I see this as like an action movie with a small dab of drama.
Yep.
And here's the thing, it just delivers on the action.
Mm-hmm.
This has got a lot of awesome fighter jet scenes. It's very well documented, and in the promotional material, real planes, not CGI stuff a lot of the times. Just like real things going on, and it really does tickle that action, junkie part. If you want that kind of movie, this movie is that kind of movie.
Yep. Yeah, and to go on the other side, I totally agree. Action drama, I would say a lot of it is, the Maverick and Rooster kind of relationship, and also a bit of the relationship between these pilots and stuff. That is, as I was talking before, is a little bit like we have in Top Gun, the same friction. I mean, these people are the best, and they have egos, and those egos, conflict a little bit at times and stuff too. And I even go, one of our new characters, Hangman, he's almost like Iceman was in the first one to Maverick, going with like Miles Teller and Hangman in this one, though he's different. Like they took an aspect of Iceman and changed it, when it comes to like Hangman and stuff, so he's a little bit different.
Hangman, yeah, they actually changed one of the biggest character things about Iceman and Hangman. I think Hangman's more of like a weird Iceman Maverick, like put together thing where it's like he's super cocky, he's super good. He is a really good pilot, But yeah, he hasn't quite figured it out yet.
I think he is like the character who would be like Maverick if the original Top Gun was centered around Iceman instead of Maverick. I don't really want to spoil this or whatever, but I will just say the intro of the movie and how closely it calls back to, the 1986 film. I guess that's as far as I'll go with that part or whatever. I wasn't expecting that, but I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Cue the Kenny Loggins. Now I gotta cut loose. No, not that. Kenny Loggins. What I didn't see coming is, every time I go into this, someone in the comments has to complain about it, but I'm going there. I'm sorry. I know that it's a movie, and it's for entertainment.
Yep.
But I didn't see all of these military inaccuracies coming. I'm like, basically everything that happens in this is like, oh, we have to use these planes. I'm like, no, you don't. We have better planes for that. Like, there's no reason to use those ones for this explicit mission. In fact, there's no reason to use planes for this mission at all. I'm like, they do a precision strike at one point in this to disable an enemy like encampment. I'm like, the U.S. has the capability of striking like every part of this without putting a pilot in danger, basically. So there's a lot of military inaccuracies in this film, and because they promoted it so heavily with like real F-18s and real speed and like, this is, you're going to get that genuine feeling. I'm like, yeah, that's great. All that stuff is done well. But man, oh man, do they have some serious, like, no, we would never perform this,
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like we're telling the story first and not really like, hey, military thing. This is what would happen, military.
I mean, not to make this segment go any longer than it does, but like what it bothers me, why it bothers me, it isn't so much like that they did it. Other movies have military inaccuracies. That's just par for the course for movies. But like the Navy didn't support Crimson Tide at all, period. And the reason they didn't is because it was inconceivable to them that there would be a mutiny on board a submarine. They're like, we can't put that on screen. We can't put anything on screen that, reflects negatively on the Navy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but in Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, you guys, the U.S. military, fully supports these movies. And they're like, but it's okay that Maverick is an insubordinate character. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So like when there's like that juxtaposition between like what the U.S. military does and doesn't support in film.
Yep.
And then you get like, this is a heavily supported U.S. military film and there's tons of inaccuracies. I'm like, I imagine the military advisor on the film was like, like the entire time,
Yep.
All right, so in conclusion, the thing is like Top Gun Maverick, it's an entertaining movie. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the action, but I also think looking at especially ratings and how much praise is being given to it, that first impressions of a very well done nostalgic film gets people so excited and they're like, oh, this is awesome. This is the best thing since the original. Maybe even better than the original, which I literally said. It is better than the original as a movie. But then it's not a perfect movie. There are problems with it. Like, I just don't like Jennifer Connelly's character. There are things in it that I don't like. But overall, it really is a fun ride, And yeah, I'd say if you like the original, go see this. If you're into the action military type movies, you're just gonna love it.
Yeah, I think this is a good movie too. It is enjoyable. It is a good way if you want to say that this is the kickoff to the summer movie season, though I think we've already kicked off the summer movie season.
Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you see this as a kickoff to the summer movie season, it is good for that. It is that action popcorn flick that you want to see in the summer, and it's, well put together. It's a good story. It's not like a moonfall, as we already mentioned in this review and stuff already. I think it's a good film, and I don't know that I like it more than Top Gun, but I do think it is probably a better movie than Top Gun than the 86 film.
But, of course, we want to know what you guys think. Have you seen Top Gun Maverick? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And don't forget, while you're on YouTube, to go check out our YouTube page. We have other new movie reviews, flashback movie reviews, some TV series reviews, and some deeper dive discussions.
We also have a Facebook page. Be sure to go check us out there. We'll put some posts on the videos that we're working on. We also post some other things from our different fandoms, trailers, other announcements from popular shows and movies. But if you don't have Facebook, don't worry about it. Just go to our YouTube page. We put out videos regularly. For now, I'm Matt with No Market Media. Have a good day, everyone.
And I'm Randall. See everyone next time.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.